if you're going through hell, keep going. Well, thank you, Winston Churchill, for this inspiring quote that is attributed to him in reference to World War II. He was saying, you know what, keep going through that hell, because at the end of it, we are going to achieve peace together. Super inspiring, super, super helpful for that specific purpose. I think it could also be really helpful for people who may be going through a really challenging time toward a goal. So, they're in the middle of exams and they're trying to finish their exams and it feels like hell because they're up all night long. But he's saying, like, keep going, keep persevering, stay resilient. You can do it. You're going to get to the other side of this. For those who are experiencing an illness as well, it can be really helpful, particularly if your illness is one where we really think you're going to do much better. And sometimes you have to kind of go through really, really hard treatment to get to the doing much better phase, right? And so it's kind of like go through that hell to get to the other side, right? I think this is a tricky quote though, because for people who have a chronic illness or disability, or people who have a terminal illness, this actually can be really kind of confusing and sometimes at worst, like really, really hurtful to say to someone. And so, if you have a chronic illness that causes pain and suffering on a regular basis, it comes and goes maybe. You have good days and bad days. Yes, on those bad days, you could say, go through hell, keep going through hell, like you'll get to the other side. But it's not always that clear for people with a chronic illness that the other side is going to be much better. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. And if it's been tricky for you, that's okay. You're not alone. It's really tricky for people who are facing a terminal illness. So we do a lot of treatments for people in the hospital that are hard. They're really hard. Many patients will say it's harder than the disease. And so when you say go through hell, keep going, it's tough for them because the treatment is worse than the illness, but the illness is not going to necessarily get much better. Like this treatment might make it a little bit better, but there isn't that like peace and no war anymore, or I've turned in my paper, there's not that kind of sense of completion often. So I would just refrain from using that. I think the other time that this is used that it's really not helpful is when people say, keep doing that treatment because we think that you're gonna do so much better, but the treatment isn't always the best option. In fact, sometimes you really need to stop the treatment and sometimes you need to rest. And so I think it's really important too to make sure that we're not encouraging people to push past human limits, right? So I hope this has been helpful. Definitely let me know if you've heard this comment before. All right, see you soon.